everybody. Welcome back to You Are the Opera of Power with Gail.
Hi, I'm Jane.
If you've been following along with us, it seems the way we're going is that we're building on previous shows. The shows are kind of themselves, but so far they seem like they're building on top of the other. So our last show was about reacting and responding. And this one, we're going to be talking about where is your attention going? What are you paying attention to? So in the last show, we had a good discussion about reacting and responding. And I just want to add something in that I want to make clear from one of your questions, Jane, related to, somebody being abusive and is focusing on or not thinking differently about it. Is that sort of enabling that behavior or having you in a position where you have to kind of push down those feelings and you're okay with it? So I wanted to clarify, like, that's not the case. Absolutely, if you're in a dangerous situation, you get out and you do everything that is available to you to keep you safe. What we're talking about is more your mindset and how you can get beyond it and how you can get people act based on the state of mind that you hold them in. So if you think of somebody as an abuser, they're always going to be an abuser until you allow them to leave that state of mind. So, and that is where your power is. In order to, for you to move out of that state of they're an abuser, you have to forgive them, which is a couple of shows ago, we talked about forgiveness, and that means forgetting. So there's no stories attached. There's nothing to remember. And that allows that person to move out of that state of being an abuser. We don't realize, but we hold people in these states because we drag up the past, or we talk about what we think they're going to do in the future. We start analyzing. We've talked about that, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that today. And this is just play with it, be open and play with it, not put yourself in danger. No, nobody's suggesting that. And that's certainly not what we want, but consider that if you're going to walk this road, you have to take full responsibility for everything. So anyone else is just a representative of a belief or a thought that you've had. So if that's the case, then you're always coming back to yourself to resolve situations. So they're only an abuser if you hold them in that place, and they will act out whatever whatever you define an abuser as being. They will respond accordingly. So now back to this show, we're going to talk about where's your attention. And I think, Jane, you were talking about an experience that you had the last time we spoke, and you've got an update on that just based on the conversation that we had in our last show. So why don't you share that?
Okay, so we kind of pinpointed some paying attention to the thing that I didn't want. And I went away yesterday and I really actually went to sleep in love and all is well, and blessing all the great things that were happening, just in a really good state. So I woke up yesterday and I decided I would not pay attention to the things I didn't want, which seems to be, it's a really huge shift in thinking. So every time something would come up, it was easy. All is well, not paying attention to that. So I let it go. And then I remembered there was a second part. Pay attention to the thing that you do want. So I
Which
started
is
to,
love. We
which is
talked about
love.
that before, right? Where you give
Right.
your attention is what you love.
So I gave my attention to my imagining a happy circumstance where me and the other person that I had sort of a conflict, I guess, where I was paying attention to what I didn't want with them. I pictured what I wanted with them. So I was like, well, what do I want with them? And I thought, well, and actually, there was a feeling behind that imagining, which was, oh, everything's so great. Everything, oh, this is great. It's exactly what I wanted. And I imagined the positive aspects of interaction, you know, and I actually imagined an exact path in my hometown and exactly the plan that would make me happy, which was going for a walk on this path. And also the person phoning me was part of it as well, because there had been some, I was focusing on the fact that they weren't calling me when I wanted them to. So I started focusing on the fact that, of course, they're going to call me and it's all good and all is well. And of course, they're going to call me. And so they called me. And I would say within the hour of sort of starting to really peak out on, I felt a shift of relief. It felt like relief. And so the person phones me and oh yeah, that's the other part, was like we were talking about, was patience. There was a point where I started to go back into, yeah, but they're not calling me fast enough. I want them to call me now. I'll just call them. And then my voice and my attention went to, no, that's not what you want. That's not what you wanted. You wanted them to call you. So just, everything's fine. All is well. They're calling. Don't worry about it. And imagine them calling me and us talking and getting along. So within the hour, the phone call came in, and there had been a question that I asked in the previous conversation with this person. And what the next question, the next statement to the answer of my question was, let's go for a walk on that path where we like to go tomorrow and talk about it. And I was like, oh, like I would literally, it stopped me in my tracks. I was like, holy. So I was like, yeah, for sure. And I didn't say anything about that I had imagined it to the person. But I was quite shocked and quite happy. And I continued to pay attention to what I wanted. So it lifted me and it lifted the other person. And the conversation yesterday was just fluid and flowed. There was no problem. There was no need to hash over anything. I wasn't paying attention to any of the stuff I didn't want anymore. And it felt like there was movement, like that we were moving towards what we both wanted.
Right.
So it completely, and also, I think normally if I hadn't paid attention to what I wanted, I might have then interjected some more of what I didn't want. So I was aware of that in the conversation as well. I was like a couple of times like, and then I was like, no, just go with the flow. So it's almost like sticking your hand in when a door's shutting, like, or I don't know, it's like trying to control out there is a better way to say it. So as soon as I have any of that come up, I just, no, all is well. We're good. Okay. See you tomorrow. All is well.
Right.
So I was very, very shocked that it had happened within hours of us talking. And then I went online to Rita Craigwell, right? I want to pronounce her name correctly.
Yeah. She's the
And
bomb.
yeah, and I listened to her actually the night before I went to sleep. I think through the day. I can't remember whether I listened before. I think after everything happened, I listened to her post on Magic. I don't know if it was, I forget that, I want to know the name. Can we put a link
Yeah.
to it? Yeah, that would be really good.
Yeah.
So I think it was so helpful to then have like another validation that, yes, exactly. So it was very exciting to within that very short period of time to have you and her and all of that sort of handed on a golden platter. Like you said, it's simple,
Mm-hmm.
but practice. And it was so awesome that I had to practice with this person, because I think this person is the one I pay most attention to what I don't want about. So now that I've shifted that, I feel like my whole day today is just really going the way I want. I just feel really good, light, happy, go lucky, all is well. Like I'm feeling all is well.
Yeah. Now, just curious that the issue that they said we'll talk about it, is that still an issue with you? Or has that been forgiven and
No,
forgotten?
yeah, it's gone.
Okay. The fact that they're bringing it up might be a clue that it's still, there's some residual stuff. So I would just.
Yeah, well, that's what I figured.
Revise,
yeah,
forgive.
Yes, that's what I figured. So I did actually work on that afterwards, because I started going into my planning forward, which I don't know. What's your feeling about that? Okay, so you arrive at sort of all is well, and you want to make a plan moving forward. So of course you're going to plan on exactly what you want.
Well, what's your end? What do you want? What is your end?
Yes.
Like you don't want to, I think when you're trying, I mean, there's nothing wrong with planning day to day.
Right.
If it's like a relationship, I mean, it can be exhausting planning. Well, today they're going to do this, today they're going to do this, and like a different thing every day. What is your end? It's a loving, peaceful, happy relationship or whatever.
Right.
And you go, that's where you stay in that state of mind. And then, I mean, that gives you, spontaneity and just fun all the time. I mean, you will run into, there will be issues that come up because we have past imaginings that are always showing themselves. And especially as you go down this path, you're going to be tested. But do you really think that, Jay? Is that how you really feel? Oh, so everything's cool now, is it? Well, how about this? Something comes in your face. And so so do you really feel convicted that all is well, that I'm in this loving relationship? Because your response will tell you, and your inner self, what you're really convicted about.
Okay, so if I want something specific from somebody and I want to make a plan, then, because I think I get myself caught up in too much planning, which
just
goes
go to the end. You've already, let's say it's camping or something. I want to go camping. So you go imagine the end, saying, wow, that was so fun, that camping trip. We'll have to do this again sometime. And so then you're going to be, and they're going to be, as long as you stay in that end, then everybody involved is going to be compelled to do what needs to be done to get to that end. And there may be, and I think we see this a lot with relationships, there may be old stuff that comes up and interferes, right? But that's only for you. Like, look, they're, they're showing you a thought or belief that you held true in your consciousness. Do you still, does that work for you still? So it's never, I don't know that it's ever going to be like a totally smooth road, because we're deep. Like, we're not just one layer. We've created numerous layers and numerous imaginings. And I mean, how many people are in the world? Like how many beliefs and thoughts have we had because everybody's creating all these people. So the important thing is, what do you love? I love being in a peaceful, happy, loving relationship.
Okay, but the practicality of that with two people's lives, two people's schedules, is it that it should just be, okay, like for instance, if I want, I guess it's just asking for what you want too. Like you have to be specific about what you want, because I've heard this before, that you can't beat around the bush.
No, but if you know what you want, like your inner creative power and imagination knows what you want, right? Because you're one with them. So it's not like, well, you know, he needs to call me at this time, and then he calls, and then, well, now then he needs to do this. Like, you don't have to. That, to me, that's controlling the process, right? Go to the end. I'm back from camping, had a great time. So then, you know, the week before, when everything's getting organized, that even if things come up, problems come up, you know, oh, Jane, I can't get the day off work. In your mind, you're like, well, we had a great time on the weekend camping, so I don't buy into that. I don't accept that. And
So
something will happen.
So you're saying the organizing part of it is still you're still doing that in real time.
Well, yeah, you have to get your tent together and your food and all that sort of stuff.
So what you're saying is to keep the plan in place, always imagine that it has gone well, all is well.
That you've already experienced your
yes. Right. Okay.
And like I said, there may be, you know, that the other person, I can't get it off. You know, I have to work now. And you react or you respond to that, will affect your end. And really, what should be in your end, your reaction should be, oh, well, in your head, we had a great weekend, so I don't know what this is about. It's nothing to do with me. And then something will happen that if you're truly in your end, something will happen that, oh my gosh, it's so weird. They told me I had to work and now they told me I don't have to work. So yeah, it's a go.
Yeah, and right.
The hardest part, like I had an experience where I decided I was going to go back to school just for something to do. And I didn't have the money to go. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to get a loan, a student loan. And so I applied for it. At the time, I had gone through some legal stuff, so my credit wasn't great. And I applied, and they responded back to me that, sorry, your credit sucks. We're not giving you the student loan. My end was not getting the student loan. My end was graduating from school. So I already knew I was going to graduate. So my response to that was like, well, whatever. I've already graduated school, so I don't know how it's going to happen, but whatever. And, you know, they offered the student loan people said, you know, you can appeal this. You just have to fill out, you know, 500 forms to appeal it. And I said, no, I'm not jumping through any hoops. I'm going to school. That's all I know. I don't know how I'm getting there, whatever. And I never paid any more attention to it. This was in July, so I wasn't going to school till September. 2 weeks later, I got an email from the student loan people saying, oh, we've reconsidered and you've been approved. I did not respond to them. I didn't say, this isn't fair. You should have done this. You know, that's not fair. And like, I did nothing, absolutely nothing. But in my head said, well, I'm going to school, so I don't know how I'm getting there, but I just know that I've already graduated. So, and that's the power of it. And then I never paid any more attention. I didn't worry about it.
Right.
I didn't care how I was going to do it. I still had time, you know, because when I heard, I guess it was probably the beginning of August is when they sent that phantom email saying that all of a sudden I'd been approved. They reconsidered and approved me. So like, that's the thing that we're only limiting ourselves by, if I could have gone through the appeal process. I'm stubborn that way. I'm not begging for nothing from you. I don't have to beg for nothing from you. And so I had that kind of an attitude, and I got the student loan.
And you graduated.
They came to me then. Like, cool, yeah, okay, I like this.
Well, so that's so important because it's a great example. And a lot of the stuff I was thinking about today in the media we hear about is we're paying attention to what we don't want, and then it just keeps on getting worse. It keeps happening.
Well,
And
it has us
like for
reacting.
you could have went into school thinking, well, I'll graduate if I do everything right and I pass all the tests, and hopefully this doesn't happen. So immediately you're focused on what you don't want to happen.
Yeah.
And so keeping all that away, you accomplished your outcomes. So I feel like that's the part that
Another neat thing with this too is, so it was just a 1-year course. So I hadn't been to school in a number of years, right? So I thought, okay, this is going to be interesting, just something for experience. And the midterm exams came along. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to remember all this stuff? Because there was some medical stuff related. It was an animal care course that I went on. So there was some, and it was very vet focused.
I remember.
Which was disappointing, but whatever. So there was a lot of science type thing. And of
yeah,
course,
I remember you talking to me about that.
Yeah, and I don't have that interest in, because, well, anyways, just as a side note, to me, that's more related to illness than it really is to health, right? So that's not what I want, is illness. I want health. But anyways, so I was starting to get a little bit stressed out, and I thought, oh God, how am I going to get this? I have to do well. And then putting pressure on myself too. I'd have to do well. I'm the oldest student in the class. If I didn't do well, I got with that look, blah, blah, blah. And then I just thought, you know what, just hold on, stop. You've already graduated. I've already imagined my diploma with honors, my name on it. What am I worrying about? So I stopped studying this one night and I went to bed just kind of thinking about that. And then the next day I got up and, okay, I'm going to study. And from that point on, for the rest of the year, when it came to exams, the most I could do, and I forced myself to do it, was read my notes over once.
Wow, that's awesome.
I was bored and I'm like, I don't feel like doing this, but I think I should do it though, because I got the exam tomorrow.
Yeah, that's great.
And I did, I got my honors, like I passed with honors. And
that's
I didn't
great.
spend near the time when, when
awesome.
I was in college years back, stressing and, how am I going to remember all this? How am I going to know all this? And
yeah,
it was just kind of like, every time I got worried about, if the worry of, even the idea of honors, right? Well, that means I got to get this mark. So I've got this so far. So this exam, I have to get a this to keep that grade up. And this is all middle stuff, right? And this is the stuff gets you focusing on what you don't want. So I just thought, nope, I am graduated already. And it was like so freeing. And I go into school the next day, right? And all the students, my co-students or whatever you call them, like, oh my God, I'm so stressed, or I didn't get a chance to study, I'm so worried. And I'm like, yeah, well, just see yourself, already graduated.
Yes.
Of course, many of them didn't get exactly what I was saying, but that, like, amazing. That's how it worked for me. Simply by, no, I've already graduated.
So, okay. And we were going to bring up about that, focusing on what you don't want. So great example of like, probably when you're younger. Yeah. And probably when you're younger, you're more focused on what you don't want because.
Oh, I was a worried control freak.
Right. So
worried about everything and wanted to control everything.
So we were talking about Meghan Markle and Harry and the interview that, and it was actually quite profound, the shift after we talked yesterday, because I've been thinking about it again today, and that they approached it from what they didn't want right from the beginning. She didn't want the press
about these laws. I do think she
didn't want the press. And this is the full circle moment she had. She didn't want the press talking about her and painting her as a bad person. and she wanted to be able to control what went out into the public, all that. So instead of ignoring it and believing that whatever, it doesn't even exist, I'm not going to pay any attention to it. She paid all the attention to that. And we talked yesterday about what would it have been like had they paid attention to what they really wanted, which was, and
I
everyone
think
was
it's
so
president of the United States is what she wants now.
okay. Well, and even that, being completely focused on that
Yeah.
and coming out. So here you are
She's
coming
trying
out
to
in
control the
public,
process all along.
right? And here you are coming out in public, and now everything that she paid attention to has snowballed. Instead of people forgetting, like, okay, yeah, we understand it was a struggle, maybe she just had to, I don't know, I just think it's really interesting what would have happened and how happy everyone was for them if they'd paid attention to the stuff that made everybody happy and that we were happy about. They had children. Like, really, when I went to watch that interview, in a sense of paying attention to and loving them, like, I really loved their love story. I loved everything about it. And I was looking for more love in the interview about them having a child together, building a family, all the things that it could have been paid attention to, which would bring a lot of people joy. And at times like this as well, more joy, the better, the more happiness, the more paying attention to love that we can in and outcomes and just them. And they had the whole world was into their love story. So it's a really good demonstration of what happens when you pay attention to what you don't want, because you get more of it.
Well, you create a whole bunch of stuff. And when you try to control the middle, when you don't stay in your end, you're creating more stuff. Absolutely. And just for the record, if you have an awareness of them, they're a thought or belief that you're holding in your consciousness. So something just for, forgive.
Love stories?
Showing you that. Well, I don't think they're really known for a love story.
They were in the beginning.
Well, yeah, but they're not now.
Now they're in the middle.
Well, then, if looking at it from the perspective of them, yes, they're in all kinds of muddle in the middle. And I think she's aware of conscious creating, but she's just not fully understanding it, because I think she's using it, but very objectively and not allowing, like, just trying to control everything. And I mean, I get it. It's hard because what it requires is and I don't know whose manifestation it is, if it's his or if it's hers, but regardless, it requires having faith in yourself. And I have faith in myself until you're, okay, good. Then this shouldn't be an issue for you. Oh, wait a minute. It's, we don't fully understand it until we're put in that position to, like, just using my example again. I had faith in myself that I was going to be graduating school. So I could have, got upset that I was turned down for the loan. I knew it.
Right.
I knew that my credit wouldn't,
right.
I knew it, and then I could have gone through the appeals process, and I could have created a whole bunch of more stuff for myself. And not the least of which is having to get all the information together that they look for to jump through their hoops. That's, I was like, I'm lazy when it comes to that. I'm not doing that. So that was lucky for me. But that, that whole idea of I needed to have faith in myself. I didn't know. And my kids were like, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I'm, no, I don't care. And all I know is I've graduated school. And then, 2 weeks later, it's like, whoa, I really like this.
So I guess we can say that there's lots of examples in our lives that if we think about it, we have paid attention to the way we want things to go, and they definitely go that way. It's not like, oh,
Well,
pay
and you
attention
pay
to that
attention
and then
to
it
your
doesn't
end.
happen.
Pay attention to the end, because there's
Yeah.
there's another little trap of looking for signs. See,
Oh,
the
right.
biggest thing, and on top of that,
Yes.
the biggest thing I see with people is, I don't know if I've done it right.
Right.
Like, what if I haven't done it right and I kind of let go, having faith in it, and I didn't do it right, and I'm going to be disappointed. And that again is focusing on what you don't want.
Yes.
I want to have done it right, which means
I feel like that's the best final filter on the narrative. Is that what you want? Right? Because like you just said, you might start going, oh yeah, but then, and as soon as you do, because you just said something you didn't want in that statement, like you said.
Yeah.
So as long as there's nothing in the statement that isn't what you want.
Well, I
that's
think
the final.
What do you want is it's such a simple question.
Yes.
And it doesn't bring even into, is this what you want, even will bring in the opportunity of that, what you don't want, because you're focused on what you don't want. Is that what you want? Is that really what you want? Whereas if you say, okay, what do I want? Then you're blah, 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 blah,
Right.
blah. Only on what you want. So.
Well, and I guess I was listening to some extreme sports people. I like to watch a lot of people jumping off mountains, just doing really superhuman things. And they kind of say that in their own way. They say the reason they love it so much is that they're only focused on what they want. And when you're doing a triple flip in the air, you're never ever thinking about, what if I don't hit the third rotation at the exact right angle? That's not what they're thinking. And in fact, a lot of them account that if they do, they wipe out.
Yeah. I was just thinking, if the daredevils that have actually died doing their daredevil moves or whatever, if you could have them come back and tell you, they probably somewhere in there had a little bit of doubt, maybe slipped off, the wrong way and felt that, oh my God, that's not right, and resulted in what it resulted
also in. And when doing very dangerous things, like a free climb up the side of a wall of rock, they will have already mapped out and practiced every single move that they've already practiced doing it with ropes, and then they take some don't have to do that, but they'll take the ropes off and then do it free. It's not reckless, and it's not as like, because you think watching it, oh, how daring they are. It's that they focus right exactly what they want in that very, very precise manner throughout the process.
Yeah.
So
now, talking about that from a subjective and objective perspective. Now, I mean, I have no examples of this. It's not something that I've tried, but I'm just going to throw this out. Say you're going up a mountain and you're saying that, they have everything precisely fixed and done and where they're going to go. That's living objectively. So living subjectively, I don't know, I'm just kind of tossing this around in my mind now. If they saw themselves at the top of the mountain the whole way up the mountain, they would know the steps to take without having to have practice, without having to have all of that mapped out. Like, that is the power of living subjectively. Having said that, they would have to be very focused and comfortable with the idea that, I'm going up to the top of that mountain, never been on that mountain before, never looked at that mountain before, but I'm doing it. And I see can see from the top of the Alps right now. I can see that. I don't know how many people, I'm sure there is people that do it because I mean, this is not a new phenomenon. But it's a good opportunity to sort of distinguish between objective thinking and subjective thinking. And for subjective, like, you don't want to do that if you are not 100% in faith of yourself, because that's what they're doing. They're relying on 100% on themselves, having faith in themselves to do that. And if you're not 100%, then, you know, you may want to go the other route, because a little doubt can be a slip. And that's how it would manifest, as a little slip. And who knows what the consequences would be.
Well, one guy said that he would go and he would just instinctively say, no, not today.
Oh, he wasn't feeling it.
And yeah, and I think you would have to, because there's a few other people I've watched that I'm trying to think of what you're describing, and there's one guy that I felt like that was doing, like, just in his ascent of the mountain, he would just go super fast, and he seemed to instinctively know kind of where to go. And I'm trying to remember if he said that he pictured being at the top at that particular amount of time, and he would get there within seconds of that time or something, like, you know.
Well, I mean, the whole time thing that's a whole other issue.
Okay, so maybe you should go more, right, you should go more into explaining subjective and objective, or we can save that for a whole other.
Why don't we do that for the next show?
Yeah, I think
we're running.
Okay.
Probably what about, I don't even know how long we've been talking now.
Does it say?
No. Maybe I don't know where.
Oh, 1:46. So we started at 1. So it's about 40 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So
you don't want to go.
Yeah, I think that's a good length. So success for me is being in my end, peaceful, at ease. I don't want to say accomplish that, but I'm staying in that state. So we'll see how it goes we'll see each other again Tuesday, and what transpires in the meantime for both of us and for the people around us. Because
you can't decide right now.
Yes, and I'm gonna put it out there that all is well for everyone and everyone in my life. Always.
You know what? The other thing, just before we
go, love.
Because I mean, I look at my life, and I mean, I can't complain about my life. It's very peaceful. It's, you know, my relationships are good. Like, I have no complaints. Always moving towards, you know, growing and that sort of thing. But if I ever get to that, sometimes I'll get to the state like, well, you know, am I really rocking this? Like, am I really doing this? And I think what happens is things just become so natural that you don't even notice just how successful you're being with this, because it's just so natural. Like, how come I don't have any issues in my life? I had a number of them, you know, before I got to this point. But how come I don't? And I think a lot of it is just because it's just natural. This is what I do. And I don't even think, for a number of like areas in my life, it has been natural all along, but not in that I could define, well, I stayed focused on my end and nothing specific.
Right.
Just a perspective I've always had. And so you may find this when you're, testing out what we're saying and trying out what we're suggesting, that I didn't notice anything different, but maybe there was nothing really different to notice because you've already been there. Because we do this, we've been doing this our whole life. We've been creating our reality our whole life. So it's, those areas where you have concerns and challenges is more the areas that you can focus on to make the changes, because the areas that are peaceful and flowing. You've already done it. Like that's your success. Enjoy.
Yeah, okay, so if I was interested in this thing I heard, I'll just put it out there quick. The effects of happiness on the brain. They did like scans on the brain, and it's called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis, which regulates your immune system, your hormones, your digestion, and your stress levels. And if you're happy, it all aligns. Like now they've sort of neurologically proven that being in a state of all is well and happy allows you to keep focusing on the things you want. So I would almost say that by doing that, you're creating more of what you want as well. Because we didn't really say that. Like you're supporting all the systems that you want to be in homeostasis, and all is well will create more of it. And if you're paying attention to all the things that aren't, then it'll create more of that.
Right. So the physical responses are a manifestation of the feeling within.
Right.
So it goes out.
Yes.
It doesn't go in. So
Right.
that worrying about your brain is objective thinking. Over there is objective thinking.
Well,
Like
studying.
the
They're
brain
just studying it.
Well, it's opinion.
I
Really.
guess. Yeah, true.
But I'm not saying it's good or it's bad. Like objective.
No. I just
choice for
heard
yourself.
that.
It's
And I was
trying
like, well,
to delineate, because objective thinking and subjective thinking is it's different. And the really freeing one is the subjective thinking, because I don't rely on my brain's hypo.
Right.
Acid, whatever it was she said.
Right.
I don't rely on that.
So that's like
for
sort
my
of
happiness.
being stuck in the gray zone again.
When I'm in my end of like all is well and love my life, then my brain responds. It's not the other way around. It's not I respond to my brain is, shooting out all of these chemicals, so I feel good. No, it's I feel good. I'm in my end, and my brain responds.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So
you get caught up easily. You can get caught up with the outside in stuff. And that's objective thinking, when you think, that your body needs something to be healthy. That's objective thinking. And I'm not judging it one way or the other. I'm just stating the difference.
Oh, you froze.
Subjectively thinking, my body is responding to my thoughts and my beliefs and my feeling. Did you freeze? Yes, you did. You froze.
Oh, did you? We both froze. I was like, yeah.
Oh, did we?
Oh, my
Okay.
internet connection's unstable. Okay, that's a good place saying get off. Stop.
Yeah.
Okay,
Stop.
so all right, yeah, we're good.
Okay, so we'll catch up
Yeah.
in the next one. Thanks everybody for joining us. Hope this was helpful in some way. Questions, comments, please put them below, and subscribe and ring the bell.
Notifications, but we will also put a link in for Rita, because we both love listening to her and referring
She has
to her.
a lot of good things to share. And
Yeah.
if you're interested in the decoding the Bible, she's pretty awesome at it on her Patreon. You can look her up.
Okay.
All right, we'll talk to everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.